Ah, yes, conspiracy. It is the nature of fallen man to conspire together to do evil to promote themselves. We see that at the Tower of Babel, what was the word? Let us. Let us. It's a conspiracy. They joined together, and it is against the true God. We see that Delilah and her cohorts conspired together against Samson. We see, it's all through the scriptures. How about the Pharisees? In Matthew 24 or 26, verse 3, we read that the chief priests and scribes and elders assembled together and consulted on how they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. Is this a conspiracy? These are the very words. Assembled together, consulted on how they might subtly, behind the scenes, take him and kill him. That's conspiracy, people. To say there's no conspiracy, you've got to be a complete moron. Yeah, there's no conspiracy, Mr. Limbaugh. Go back to sleep and vote for the Republicans. They're going to save America all alone. Well, I am not going to take you into every last tentacle of the New World Order. I'm going to go back 20 years ago when, after taking a look at these things, 20, 30, 50 years ago, and see what the plan of the Cosmocratos, these world rulers, is. After that, you can see, okay, this is where they're going. But yet the scripture told us over 2,000 years ago where this thing is going. So I'm not going to waste my time with these idiots, okay? Let's take a look. David Rockefeller Sr. at the 1991 meeting of the Globalist Alliance made in Germany, and this was the first Bilderberger meeting that Bill Clinton was introduced at. He said, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and have respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practiced in past centuries." It says for 40 years, the Washington Post, New York Times, and Time Magazine have conspired together with us to keep this a secret. John Swinton, who is a former chief of staff of the New York Times, in his toast to the New York Press Club in 1953 said, "There is no such thing at this date in the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it and I know it. There is not one of you who dares to write his honest opinions, and even if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinions out of the paper that I'm connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out in the streets looking for another job. The business of the journalist is to destroy truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of Mammon, and to sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it, I know it, and what folly is this toasting an independent press? We are the tools and vassals for rich men behind the scenes. We are the jumping jacks, they pull the strings and we dance. We are intellectual prostitutes. This is 1953, people. Do you think it's gotten cleaner? No, this whole thing is so set up. If you think it's clean, you're a fool. Thomas Jefferson said the single acts of tyranny can be ascribed to the accidental opinion of a day, but a series of oppressions begun at a distinguished period and pursued unalterably through every change of administration too plainly proves a deliberate, systematic plan of reducing us to slavery. What this is Jefferson. And he was seeing it in his day. He was part of the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Jefferson did speak of God and God-given rights, but he also took a penknife and cut out all the scriptures that spoke of any miraculous events because he didn't believe in the Yeshua that I know. He had a made-up fairy tale Jesus, the same made-up fairy tale, well, a different one. I mean, every denomination has their own fairy tale Jesus, their own celestial Santa Claus. They don't read what he spoke. They don't study what he said. They don't do what he did. They just tell sweet baby Jesus stories. Oh, yes, I like the 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus. Another one likes the 3-year-old baby Jesus. Another one likes the 12-year-old Jesus. Everyone's got their own Jesus made up in their own mind. Now, let's take a look at the Council on Foreign Relations. This is the non-attribution clause from the Council on Foreign Relations. The dissolution of all national governments and the melding into a one-world government is the New World Order. Walt Russell of the CFR said, "It is in the American interest to put an end to nationhood." Adlai Stevenson, who is a member of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, whose symbol is a man riding a white horse with his hand in the upward gesture, which is the symbol of the Masonic 33rd degree. It is the sixth blessing of the New World Order, and the same thing that Napoleon is painted with his pictures of that same symbol of the Illuminati. And he said the UN program calls for total elimination of national capacity to make international war. So there's got to be something that is bigger than than the military of the United States. Nobody can make international war anymore. Carroll Quigley, now this is Clinton's professor at Georgetown University. He said the Council on Foreign Relations is the American branch of a society which originated in England and believes national boundaries should be obliterated and one world rule established. Now this is the professor that is the hero of Bill Clinton, okay? So we're going back 20-some years here. My main disagreement with the CFR is that they desire to remain anonymous. That's all he disagrees with. He wants a one-world government. What was Bill Clinton in there for? Why was he at the Bilderberger meeting? Why is he a member of the CFR? One world government, people. Do not think that these men are honest. I've got a list right here of 50 people who are friends or business associates of the Clintons who are all dead. Some of them beheaded, and the coroner's report is for natural causes. Died of natural causes. Beheaded. 50 people, over 50 people dead. Okay, yeah, was it in The Godfather? Said Michael Corleone, Kate was saying, well, government officials don't have people murdered. That's naive. And he said, who's being naive? That's why you have so many people end up dead who work for high government officials. The list goes on and on. Oh, Bill Clinton said about Carroll Quigley, listen to this. I heard the call to citizenship clarified by my professor Carroll Quigley at Georgetown University. That was the call to world citizenship. Obliteration of natural boundaries. See, we can go back to Clinton. We can't go back and see anything about Obama. All he was a lawyer for a crooked non-profit corporation. That's all the man ever did. And then the mob, the same mob that Blagojevich was part of while he's in prison, the mob put him in his seat. He's done nothing. You can't find out anything about the man. Nothing. You can't, how many lawyers has he blocked from anyone getting to his birth certificate? Every state of the union, they have had lawyers go in to stop any proceedings to find out who this man really is. Do you think you're going to be told who he is? Forget it. He is their man. He is the one that is designed to bring this whole thing in. So, our job is to get the gospel of the kingdom out to the world. As long as we have a voice to do it, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to quit playing games because there's not a whole lot of time. Those of you who are out there sitting on your bankrolls thinking that your money's going to save you, it's going to be worth absolute hockey foddy before this is over. Oh my goodness. John Rankin, U.S. Congressman, said the United Nations is the greatest fraud in all of history. Its purpose is to destroy the United States. Rowan Gaither, the president of the Ford Foundation, testified before Congress in 1954, 2 years after I was born. We operate here, Ford Foundation, under the directorates which emanate from the White House. The substance of the directives under which we operate is that we shall use our grant-making power to alter life in the United States so that we can comfortably merge with the Soviet Union. One world government, ladies and gentlemen. United Nations World Constitution, quote, the age of nations must end. The governments of the nations have decided to order their separate sovereignties into one government to which they surrender their arms. Henry Kissinger, National Security Advisor under Nixon, said, today Americans would be outraged if UN forces entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow they will be grateful. He's part of the plan, Council on Foreign Relations. Oh my goodness. Oh, James Warburg. This is Rothschild's agent who testified before the U.S. Senate in 1950, 2 years before I was born. We shall have world government whether we like it or not. The only question is whether world government will be achieved by conquest or by consent. Consent may take another generation, but not with what we see in the book of the Revelation. It was Baron Rothschild who said that, he's the primary owner of the Federal Reserve System and the World Bank. See, the Federal Reserve is not anything to do with America. It is a consortium of world bankers. It's not stationed. It's not here in the United States. As a matter of fact, we have been in receivership to the Federal Reserve System. And everyone's birth certificate who's born in America is on a banknote because the U.S. government is given so much money by the World Bank when you are born because of your future earnings. That's what's going on in this country. Everyone here is in hock to the world bankers. And Baron Rothschild said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. As James Garfield, the president, said, whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all industry and commerce. Thomas Jefferson, again, our second president, wrote, I believe that the banking institutions are far more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Already they have raised up a moneyed aristocracy that has set the government in defiance. The issuing power for money should be taken from the banks and restored to the people, to whom it properly belongs, and that's what he did. He took it out of the hands of the world bankers back then. Then he said, if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent that their fathers conquered. And that is why the national parks in America are now international biospheres. They've been sold to the world bankers. That's why major portions of what were once our national resources are closed off. Americans can't get in there anymore. Go up to Cherokee National Forest, and it's no longer Cherokee National Forest. They've shut the thing down under so many different guises, but it doesn't belong to the American people anymore. It belongs to the international bankers. Our freeways and tollways are being sold to foreign nations. We are paying tolls that the money goes to China and other countries now in America. Why? Because we are so upside down. We've been in receivership since the 1930s. George Maloney, U.S. Senator, who's concerning the families that own the Federal Reserve, quote, Federal Reserve is just as much America as Federal Express. It's a private corporation. It just sounds official. Federal Express, Federal Reserve. He said, I believe that the people of this nation fully understood what Congress has done to them over the last 49 years. They would move on Washington, and they would not wait